to use the MongoDB input components to Talend and then do some processing within your Talend jobs. So for the example, I'm going to use a collection called calls. In that collection, what I have is pretty simple documents. What I want to do for the examples is I want to aggregate by disposition. So I have a duration and I have a disposition. So what I want to do is group by disposition and then do a sum of the duration. So let's take a look at what I've done in Talend. So what we're using here is we are using the components that ship with Talend Open Studio for Big Data 5.2.2. Now these ship in Jaspersoft as well, Jaspersoft ETL Commercial Editions, the Big Data Edition. So within the MongoDB components, you see I have a few components there. We're going to be focusing on the connection one and MongoDB input in this job. So the connection component is very simple. It simply connects to my collection, or sorry, to my database. So I give it the server and the port. From there, I dragged in a MongoDB input. I'm going to make this a bit bigger for you just to see it. I used an existing connection, which is going to take the connection details from the MongoDB connection component. And then I manually gave it a schema. So there's no schema. You can't really discover the schema yet with these components. So I basically had to type in the columns that I had for my collection, which wasn't too hard, and I assigned it to some Java types over here. So like duration is an integer. Then what I had to do was give it a query. Now queries, it's not what you think in that you can type in anything here. It's actually something that you would find within a find query. So basically what this is giving you is anything that fits within a find query. So in this case, I did duration is greater than 0. I could do greater than or equals to 0 by simply adding an E. You can read more about that in the MongoDB documentation. I didn't do any kind of sort by, and I didn't do a limit by, but you can imagine what that does in the query. So from there, I added a T aggregate row. So I'm actually going to pull all the rows out at this point from my MongoDB collection. In my second post, I'll show you how to do it with the aggregate framework, probably a little bit more efficiently. So then this aggregate row component simply now takes an input column, does a function, a sum function on the input column duration, and it groups by disposition. So it's very simple component. And then from there we log it to the console. Of course, you could write it out to file or to database or even back into MongoDB with the MongoDB output. So I'm going to run this job now, and you'll see it working. Okay, so pretty quickly there it went through 1,068 rows, and it condensed it down to 6 rows to show me the sum by duration. So I see disposition. I see dial is my most popular disposition there. Alright, so stay tuned for the second part of this video, which shows you how to use the tMongoDB row component.